I had to learn the hard way that it is not the large decisions that were stopping me from being bad with money to getting better with money. It was the little things. The small things I do almost every single day without much thought, but these habits compounded over time. And if I had a daughter, this is what I'd want her to know so that she does not repeat the same mistakes I did and that she can reach her financial goals faster with a lot less emotional turmoil. And no, they do not include things like auto invest or save 20% of your income, things like that, things that you can Google. Instead, these are real life examples of the things I have done wrong, and the change that has happened since fixing these has been enormous. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Sim, and I'm so excited that you're here. The first mistake that I was making was not learning to say no. Every time you say no to something, you are opening up space for what you want to do. Every time you say, I'm sorry, I cannot make it, you are allowing yourself to have space to learn a new skill, space to run into people that you're actually wanting to spend time with, and therefore get new ideas from, space to just relax, because resting is productive as well. You are just creating more space in your life to allow things that you are going to align with more, allow things that make you happier, and allow things for you to then follow your curiosity in. Because if you're at the stage of your life where you're saying yes to everything, you might appear like, the best employee in the room. If you're like, oh yeah, I'll totally take the notes in this meeting. Oh yeah, I'll totally figure out a way to reach out to that person. I'll totally cold DM them or email them. You probably think you're doing it because, you want to be seen as the person that just gets things done. You're the doer. You're like, absolutely, yes, 100%. And I think to a degree, being a proactive team member in a company, being the kind of person that's always reliable, is a really good thing, but you should only do it to things that you are interested in. Be more strategic on the things that you say yes to. Yes, I will absolutely reach out to that person for you, but you're thinking in my head, and I want to have a connection with that person because they are in a department that I'm interested in, rather than, yes, of course, I'll take minutes, in this meeting, even though it doesn't help you at all. And instead of being part of the discussion and being seen by your boss as someone that has crazy good ideas, you're just seen as, the nice, sweet employee that writes everything down and is kind and helpful to everyone. It seems counterintuitive, but if you do not learn to say no, you're going to spend your whole working career just going where people are sending you instead of having a decisive path of where you want to go. I even fell into this where if someone was like, hey, can you come on and come talk to us about money at this place or this place? I just say yes to everyone. And it got to a point where I was not actually growing my company. I was not actually spending time doing things that were helping move the needle. I was just too scared to say no. And I would go to all these different kind of random but really fun places. And while I enjoyed it, it was not moving the needle for me. The second thing that was a micro habit, a tiny habit that I was doing that really did not help me grow money, if anything helped me lose money, was trying to make money the way the older generation did it. I believe every generation has its gold mine. Every generation has the thing that if people are doing this or are part of this industry, they tend to do well. It doesn't mean everyone does well, but you look at America and you look at the time where people like the Rockefellers made their money, people made money with oil and anything that was part of the Industrial Revolution, steel, building roads, building train tracks, those were the people and the families that had generational wealth to pass down. Now, that's probably our grandparents or our great-grandparents or great-great-great-grandparents' times. If our parents looked at that, our parents would have said, okay, should I be building roads? Is that where the money's at? I am not going to start a steel mill. I am not going to start making train tracks. That's just not the way to make money in this day and age. You can't look at the past and go, that's how you do it. And in the same way, people might now look and go, well, there was this big rise in online companies in the dot-com bubble. People were making all these different websites and that's what I should do. And then that kind of collapsed. And then it came out and became a little bit more stable. We look at, the rise of companies like Apple and Microsoft and Amazon. We should we create these large Airbnb, these large online fulfillment centers where we are allowing a service and a person to connect, whether it's Uber or Airbnb or Amazon, where no one owns or holds the assets, but they're just connecting and selling them as marketplaces. And that probably isn't the right way to make money for this next generation. They can't look at that and go, that's the same way. It's new technology. It's using and leveraging AI to make the world easier. Maybe that's what it is, or it's content. But every time you say, what have people done to make money in terms of careers and businesses, and should I do the same, does not necessarily mean that you will make as much money. People used to look at lawyers and be like, lawyers were super wealthy and super rich, and therefore I'll become a lawyer to be wealthy and rich. A lot of my friends are doctors, and they go, back in the golden ages of being a doctor, you could have a doctor, single income family with one person as the doctor, the other person staying at home, and you would have like a very luxurious life. And that's just not the case anymore. Doctors don't make as much as how much inflation has risen. And so you end up kind of frustrated or disgruntled. So if I was talking to my daughter, I'd say, hey, if you want to make a lot of money and you want to be successful, sure, you can absolutely do it, but do not look at the older generation as a guaranteed way. Like, don't choose a person and pick a path and be like, well, I'm just going to do that. You have to look at what people of your generation are doing to make money. What do the people that are in your age group, or maybe like up to 5-10 years old, are doing? Because that's really going to determine where you should be putting your time and energy and picking things that you enjoy. Because like, I love you, honey, but it's not going to be in steel mills. It's not going to be creating railroads. I don't see that happening. The third habit that I had was believing that any success that I had was luck rather than luck plus hard work. When I was growing up, I think it's very easy for especially young girls, I mean, young boys as well, like everyone does feel this kind of way. I know that imposter syndrome is not unique to one group of people, but it is highly seen in young women. You just do something and people around you are like, congratulations, that's so impressive. Like, you cracked the code, you did this, you figured it out. And it's so easy because we're not used to celebrating success. We're not used to encouraging people to be boastful. If anything, you grow up being told, like, calm down, be humble, be a nice person. Don't think that your own, backside doesn't stink. Like, it is so important to stay humble. That's what we get told growing up. And so it's quite difficult when, if you are successful, you do something good and people are congratulating you and you get signs of success. A lot of times our natural response is, oh, it was nothing. It's not a big deal. I got lucky. How many times do we say that? Oh, I can't believe that worked out for me. I just got lucky. And the detrimental side of that is you start to convince yourself that any success that you have is luck, and therefore you're not giving yourself the chance to reflect on your actions and understand, what did I do that worked, that made this work, and how can I repeat it and make it better? Instead, we go, well, that was a nice run. I hope it happens again next year. I have a really sad example of this where I was first growing a company called The Indian Feminist when I was younger, and it started doing well, and I was starting making tens of thousands of dollars through merch. And instead of thinking to myself like, oh, okay, this year I've made 20,000, next year should be 30,000, maybe the year after that 40,000, the year after that 50,000, I was thinking, oh, I really lucked out this year. It probably won't happen again next year. Like, I never understood the idea that people could grow companies year on year. And honestly, the same with girls that invest. Like, the first year that I made any money was, I think, 2 years into having the company, or 18 months into having the company. And then I was like, well, that was lucky. It probably won't happen again. And I'll be honest, I actually still think that every single year. That's not a good way to grow your money. And it's a tiny habit, it's a tiny thought process of like, it's just luck, but it compounds over time, because the people that are better than me are the people that go, I did so well this year, or I've done pretty well, and it's proof that I'm smart. It's proof that I understand what I'm doing. It's proof that I've got this in the bag, and I'm just going to double down. And if I made this much this year, I'm going to even try and double it next year. Or if I got this promotion, like, I'm going to try and become like a partner next year rather than just trying to be a manager. Like, they have such strong conviction in themselves, and believing in yourself is half the battle, because a lot of us don't even believe that what we've achieved is worth anything more than just a little bit of luck. I think the fourth habit that I had, the tiny little habit that I would do, is believing that if I wanted something more, I had to work harder rather than working smarter. And I don't want to say that this is a very typical way of immigrant children growing up, but in a lot of our families it is, and it is something that we tend to pass down to our children or our nieces and nephews. And we go, if you want something, work hard. If you want a good grade, obviously you have to work hard. If you want to go out for dinner, you want that lolly, whatever, like you have to finish your homework. Reward was always associated with an equal amount of energy. And so if you wanted a higher reward, you had to put in a lot more work. Times have changed, or rather my opinion on that has changed. If I spent my whole life believing that I just have to work super hard and that's the way to grow wealth, and the harder I work, the nicer my life becomes, I think that works up to a ceiling. And then after that, the harder you work, the more burnt out you get, and your outcomes actually start decreasing, and your health starts decreasing, and your personal relationships start decreasing. And you're like, I'm not really having a better life, and I'm working myself to the bone. And so it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about thinking of what are the levers of leverage that I can pull. And Naval Ravikant does a really good job of explaining it in his book, where he decides that if you want to build wealth, there are different levers that you can pull. And some of those levers are obviously investing, putting your money into markets, letting that grow. It's into owning things. So whether that be companies or property or owning pieces of businesses, it can be media, having, a profile where people are interested in what you're saying, and then that, opens doors for you. But he has this idea that it's not just work 80 hours a week if you want a fancy life. It's find ways to own things and pull levers and figure out how to do that. And the smarter you work, the more your life will get better. More growth isn't just about putting in more time. It's about delegating. It's about going, sometimes I meet really, really good business people, and they'll be like, okay, well, we need to develop this. So who are the people we hire? Who are the right people to build this? And I get so surprised, because I'm like, I would have just tried to learn how to do it myself. I didn't even think that was an option. Of course, it takes less time to just find someone who's good at something and pay them than to try and, save money yourself and do it yourself. Now, I'll say the fifth tiny habit that I was doing that was not helping me whatsoever is not taking care of my health. I think it was Stephen Bartlett say that your health is like a table, and everything you try to build is on top of this table. You're trying to build a nice home, you're trying to have a nice car, a good career, like a lovely family. And we're focused so much on what we put on our own table, but we never think about the table itself. Is it an old table? Is it wonky? Is it wooden? Is it glass? Our table is our health. And without our health, without that table, nothing really matters. There's no point of worrying about the nice house that you can buy if you do not have good health. There's a saying that healthy people have so many dreams and wishes, and people that are unwell only have one wish, and that's to get healthy. Everything goes out the door when you are in a situation where your health is so detrimentally impacted that is the only thing you can focus on. And so I've tried to incorporate different small things in my life to become healthier, because there is no point grinding and working hard and then telling myself I'll fix it when I'm older, I'll just pay for surgery when I'm older. I used to joke, such a bad joke, but I used to joke that, I'll work hard now and I'll just pay for under eye filler when I'm older, and I don't have to worry about eye bags. I'll just use plastic surgery to fix it. And that is disgusting in hindsight. And there's probably things that I'm, saying these days that when I'm older, I'll look back on and go, wow, that was a sign of immaturity. And with age, I'm sure I will figure it out and get a little bit better. But if you are not taking care of your health, there is just no point worrying about what else you need to grow, what else you need to put on the table. The investment that you make into your health pays dividends. And governments know this. if a government looks at especially a government that pays for healthcare, not like America, but like the UK or Australia, New Zealand, they look at the cost or like the burden of healthcare and they go, okay, as a country, as a government, we have to pay for all these heart surgeries, right? Because the heart problems are going to be the reason why a third of us pass away when we get older. Cardiovascular disease is on the rise, and our very sedentary lifestyles just don't really help with that. And so governments will go, okay, so many people are going to have heart problems, and we're going to have to pay for all these heart surgeries and all these bypasses and all these stents. And that's a lot of money. And that's going to be like maybe $20 billion. But if we invest $1 billion now into making sure that people are educated on exercising, we offer free programs, we encourage learning how to put things into place where we're eating better, where people have access to healthy foods. If we spend $1 billion up front, then maybe we reduce the number of people that need heart surgery by 20%. And so the amount of money, the billions that we're spending might be lower. And so when governments understand that putting money into your health now reduces the amount of money you'll have to spend on your health later, it's actually a financially good idea to spend money on going to the gym, to spend money on, and if you can, this is obviously with a huge level of privilege to say this, but like to spend money on making a healthy meal than buying an unhealthy meal. It's not easy, and lifestyle factors play such an impact. If you are in a very hard, laborious job, you do not have the time, the energy, or the money to make a healthy, nutritious meal. You're going to take, whatever takeaway that you can get on the way home from work, and you're tired and you're exhausted. So with that caveat, it is important to take care of your health, but it is a privilege also to be able to take care of your health. Now, the sixth mistake that I kept making is I did not move all of my bills online. This is more of a straightforward functional mistake that I was making, because some of these are more like mindset related, right? I had an issue. I had lived in 2 different cities and across that 3 different houses. So I had all these different mailing addresses on all my bills. And so if I had a bill, it would go to one house, I wouldn't see it, I wouldn't pay it, and then I'd have like extra debt added to it. They'd be like, you have not paid, and therefore you have to have $50 on top of this bill. And I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And then I would travel a lot. And so I wouldn't see the bills that came to my house. And then I also had bills that went to my parents' house. So unless I went to see my parents, like I will turn up and my parents will be like, oh, by the way, here's like 4 envelopes for you. And by having bills everywhere, it was just such a mistake. I would not pay things. I didn't have a track of like, what bills do I pay? Like, I know I have a mortgage. I know I have like contents insurance. And I know I have water rates and electricity rates and all these other things. But it was insane. Like, I was so embarrassed. I have one place that has your regional rates that you pay, kind of like, what's the American equivalent? Like the house tax or property tax? Property tax. So I had like my city property tax and I paid it. And then I got another email being like, you haven't paid a bill. And I was like, yes, I have. Like, don't email me, don't call me. I've paid it. And I sent them a screenshot and they're like, no, you've paid your city tax. This is like regional tax. There's 2 times that you pay tax on this house. And I had no idea. And I was so embarrassed. And so I had to sit down and write down all my bills on Notion, and then all the times that I would expect to get that bill. And then I emailed and figured out all the places that I get billed and asked them to move my bills online. And so now I have an email address where all of my bills go to, and then I had them debited with my card. So I don't even have to pay online myself. My card gets debited and the bills just come out. And that has made my life so much easier. I have saved so much money on not having all these bills unpaid. And it's trying to work with and learn how to do things that maybe not are normal to do. I don't think it's normal to have so many bills. I don't think it's normal to remember all of this. But if this is what the world is, that's okay. You just have to have systems. Systems makes the world go round, as I am learning. Now, my 7th and final tiny habit that I was making a mistake with was thinking that budgeting was beneath me once I started making more of a salary. Like when I first started working, I was making $75,000 a year, and I budgeted the hell out of that. And then my salary went to $85,000 a year. And then started working for myself. My salary went back down. It was like $50,000 a year. 50 something the year after. And then it went up to like $120,000 a year, gave myself a pay bump. And after the $120,000 a year salary, I was like, I'm making six figures. I'm making enough money. I don't need a budget. Like, I just started thinking budgeting was almost beneath me. And I was like, I'm good with money. Like, it's okay. But I started running into these issues where I just actually didn't know where my money was going anymore. And sometimes I would go pay for things and my card would decline. And it would be embarrassing because I would be out with friends. I was out with my fiance's sister, like ran into her at a co-working space and I was like, let me buy you lunch. And we went out, we like went to pay and she like put her card out. I was like, no, let me pay for us. Let me pay for us. And I kind of like pushed her aside, put my card down. It declined. And it was so embarrassing. And I'm pretty sure she paid for lunch. And I was so ashamed of that. But it's because I have different accounts where I get paid into one account and then I put everything else, like some into savings, some into investing, some into bills. But I wasn't really keeping track of how much was left in the account every week and how much I can spend on like discretionary items like eating out and buying clothes or buying other things, traveling. And so I had to get back into the habit of budgeting, know exactly how much I make, know how much I spend, and just not put myself in that situation again because it is embarrassing. And it doesn't matter like in the future how much money I make or what my salary is or how crazy things get. Like I will continue to budget. I will continue to know where my money is because if you can't measure something, you cannot change it. And so that's the most important lesson that I've had to learn. I think out of all of them, this is probably my worst mistake that has cost me thousands of dollars a year. And so I'm so glad that you've been able to stay to the end of this episode. If you found it helpful, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Please take a screenshot, put it on your story, tag Girls That Invest. It's the best way to get the podcast out to more people because the more people that find it, the more people that become wealthier through learning financial literacy. And what else could we ask for? So with that, I'll see you next week.